You've got it tuned to listener-supported independent music radio, WNRN. We're broadcasting from the Blue Ridge to the Bay. I'm Desiree Moses, joining you live from In Your Ear Studios in Richmond. We're hanging out with Ducks Limited. Thanks for being here.
Locking eyes with someone when you look across the sea. Grey and green, great green nothingness in me. What's the tightness in your chest then? What's the moment of release? Grey and green, great green nothingness in me. There's something that you've understood that I would not believe, but will I see you in a cathedral city? Will I walk all night through a poor town, through a cathedral city? Say you're alright, say you'll be alright. Vision in the water, some stupid joke. The tide that's going out and stays low, and all of us above it, raised up by our belief in a dream that's been deflected. Great green nothingness in me. But will I see you in a cathedral city? Will I let you down in a poor town, in a cathedral city? Watch the whole world drown. City. Will I walk all night through a poor town, through a cathedral city? Say you're alright, say you'll be alright.
Ducks Limited live on WNRN from In Your Ear Studios in Richmond, Cathedral City, off the new album Harm's Way. So your debut full-length modern fiction was recorded in a basement in Toronto, came out in 2021. And for this sophomore release, Harm's Way, you recorded in Chicago. So talk about that decision and who you worked with.
Yeah, it was a really good time in the end. It was something that the first record had been made in the way it was made, partly because of the pandemic and just sort of like that there wasn't a lot of ways for us to go to other places or collaborate with other people. And then when we got to doing this record, we sort of like realized that we would have that opportunity, and ended up just like looking into kind of realizing over time that the bands that we were into the most, a lot of them were from Chicago, and then sort of realizing from that a lot of them had worked with this guy Dave Petrano. And so we got in touch with him and ended up working with him, and then we were able to sort of tag in a bunch of other sort of pals and just people we admired from the music scene in Chicago to work on it with. It was a really cool experience.
That's great. Yeah. So I read that, you had members from Dead, DEHD. We've also enjoyed spinning on at NRN, and Rat Boys, who you're touring with right now. We're also enjoying spinning them. So talk about what that was like to to sort of team up with those bands that you had been admiring in that way and kind of dig into the Chicago scene a little bit?
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, they're just like, they're a bunch of amazing musicians, and it was kind of like in a nice place, I think, where we'd kind of like, by the time we started working with those folks, we already had like sort of the basic idea of what the record was and how the songs were going to work. And so it was just sort of this opportunity to kind of get in the sandbox with them a little bit and play around and see like what we could add and what we could change on top of it. We had like a particularly like fun day where we did a backing vocal day where we just got like everyone in the room at once. So it was like us and like Julia from Rat Boys and Jason from Dead, Margaret from this band, Moontype, our friend Rui. And we just sort of like we're like in the studio in Bridgeport in Chicago, just sort of like throwing ideas back and forth and trying stuff. It was a really fun night.
That's great. So I want to back up a little bit and talk about the formation of the band and how you all met. So your build is a Toronto band, but Tom, I know you mentioned your dad lives up in Arlington. So talk about how you all met. Did you guys meet in Canada and that's where you formed the group?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I moved to Canada and Evan moved to Canada around the same time, and then several years later we kind of got to know each other from playing music in the Toronto scene. Yeah.
How is the Toronto scene different from the Chicago scene? Would you say?
I don't know. That's kind of hard to say. I mean, I feel like it's like, obviously like we have a certain relationship with the Toronto scene because we live in it. Whereas in Chicago, I feel like it's like we just see it from the outside. So you only see like sort of certain pockets and certain ideas of it. But I don't know. They're both like, they're kind of in some ways pretty similar cities, and I think both great music cities.
Ducks Limited live on WNRN from In Your Ears Studios in Richmond. The new album is Harm's Way. We'd love it if you play another one for us.
Sure thing. Here's me thinking that this might have been our all-time low, but you're right to point out that I've always been a dumbass. It's the sort of situation where the first one told is the last to know, but it's something we've all gotta learn. Me and you gotta do it the hard way. It's always another dagger hidden in the sleeve, another bullet in the magazine, a way to get yourself set up to roll back down the same long track, set up to explode like a train full of gasoline. Bonded by an emptiness, shared sense of dog-endedness, our hands will find the knife to twist again. It's the way reward relates to risk, or maybe it's just restlessness. But whatever the beginning is, the ending feels the same. It's always another dagger hidden in the sleeve, another bullet in the magazine, a way to get yourself set up to roll back down the same long track, set up to explode like a train full of gasoline. It's always another dagger hidden in the sleeve, another bullet in the magazine, a way to get yourself set up to roll back down the same long track, set up to explode like a train full of gasoline.
Ducks Limited live on WNRN from In Your Ears Studios in Richmond. Train Full of Gasoline, a song that we've been enjoying spinning here on WNRN. It's off the sophomore release, Harm's Way. So I read that this track was partially inspired by a train crash that took place in Canada in 2013. Could you tell us about it?
Yeah. It was called the Lake. It happened in a town called Lac-Mégantic in Quebec. And yeah, it was like a rail disaster where basically a train full of crude oil, like left unattended, rolled down a hill into a town and exploded.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you took that experience and channeled it into something that was really nice to listen to. kind of a theme that goes along in your music. I am curious about that, sort of the juxtaposition between lyrically what's happening and sonically what we're hearing, and just sort of how that works for you when it comes to crafting songs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, I don't know. I think in sort of like, it's one of my favorite things about sort of pop music in general, I think, is like that tension can hold. And it's like, you know, when you think about a lot of kind of like classic songwriting, say like a song like The Tracks of My Tears is a great example of it. It's like it's got to be bright, it's got to be engaging because it's pop music, but it's like within that you can kind of hold a lot of different emotions. And I think sometimes when there is that juxtaposition, it's particularly resonant. And I think it's like, you know, like that's the thing with this sort of jangle pop stuff that I think we are obviously inspired by, is I think a lot of that stuff is sort of looking back to the kind of classic songwriting of the 1950s and 60s, in which like that was also a very present mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, actually, would you do us a favor and introduce everybody that you're playing with today?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, to my right, there's Mr. Evan David Lewis on the guitar. On the drums, we've got Jonathan Papo. And on the bass, we got Julia Whitman.
So taking it back to sort of those inspirations for songwriting and sort of the jangle pop. So I read that you and Evan were inspired by, you know, some of the 80s music that came out of the UK and New Zealand and Australia. Any bands in particular that you were really sort of into that kind of got you into your sound?
Oh yeah, I mean a bunch. We're huge dorks. I mean, I feel like a big one for Evan in particular is the Go-Betweens. That's like one of our like kind of foundational influences for sure. I'm really into this band called McCarthy. They're like a Marxist jangle pop band. The members eventually became Stereolab. They're really cool. But yeah, it's a lot of like kind of Flying Nun stuff, a lot of Sarah Records stuff. Yeah, bunch of stuff from those scenes.
And I want to touch on the role that country music has played also in your influence. So, Evan, I read that you're into Buck Owens. Some of the sort of harmonies you all have incorporated sort of took their inspiration from George Jones, and even that you play the guitars that you play to sort of get that sound. So, yeah, talk about the role of country and what you guys got going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a thing where kind of when we started making this record, that was just a lot of what me and Evan were listening to. Like kind of different sides of it. Like I feel like the classic country stuff you just named is like Evan's classy choices, and I'm listening to like a lot of like Florida Georgia Line and stuff. But we were both into a bunch of that kind of stuff, and then I think when we started making the record, we were kind of like, wait, are we just gonna do a country record? And then we kind of realized like, no, we're not. That's just never gonna work for us. But I think some of the stuff kind of crept in, whether we meant it to or not.
Well, I would definitely be on board for a country covers record. You all missed the sound check, but your Florida Georgia Line came out when we were checking the mics. It was pretty fun. Ducks Limited live on WNRN from In Your Ear Studios in Richmond. The new album is Harm's Way. We'd love it if you play one more for us.
All right. Hitting the heavy bag, passing out, drinking on a train. It's like this everywhere, all the time anyway. Everyone all around, down somehow, seeking an escape. They're writing all the songs about it now. I keep on listening to the boys are back in town. You and me soaking in rail gin, talking way too loud. We'll do this every now and again. The pattern that we're in, wearing thin, and now you're getting out to seek a different sea for drowning in. I guess I'm sad 'cause I won't be the one dragging you down. Down. trying to sow a seed of change. Always looking for the big reaction. I've been sort of staying in my lane. Moving like the eyes in a painting. Feels like you follow me around. Cast out like a great projection. Like the haunting is the main thing. Yeah. I don't believe in it now. I don't believe in it now. I don't believe in it now. I don't believe. No.
Ducks Limited live on WNRN from In Your Ears Studios in Richmond. The new album is Harm's Way. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks to the crew at In Your Ears Studios. Thanks to my colleagues from WNRN who are here. Thanks to our WNRN members who are here, who support, make sessions like this possible. For WNRN, I'm Desiree Moses.